What's going on, everybody? We are back with another video, unconformed. Let's do this thing. So today we're going to be talking about three players, some of the players that I think aren't going to stand a chance with Arne Slot. And they're going to be some of these takes are going to make some of you guys mad. I know it. I know it. Just like the takes in the last video, surprisingly, you guys all agreed with me. So I appreciate you. This one you guys might not. And the last guy that I'm going to talk about is definitely a fan favorite over in Liverpool, but I don't think that he's at the level. We look at the numbers, which we're not, because I can't back any of these stuff and I can't really prove it, but these are just some thoughts and opinions that are 100% factual if you ask me. Make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe. Follow me if you're on TikTok. Subscribe if you're on YouTube for more content like this. We're going to keep rolling these out. We're going to try to pump out 3 of them a week, baby. Let's go. So if you aren't a part of the Unconformed Club, make sure you guys join the club. Definitely do that. So let's jump right in. So the first player that we're going to be talking about is young Curtis Jones. Damn. It's young Curtis Jones, guys. I'm sorry. And I know there's some people that really back Curtis, and then there's some people that think the same way that I do about Curtis. I'm not sure what happened to him. I'm not sure what happened to him towards the end of the season. He just kind of fell off, and he was easily one of our best players towards the beginning of the season, right? Him and Dom were doing damage in the midfield together. He was actually scoring a good amount of goals as well. I think he went on like maybe like a 4 or 5 game goal scoring streak, or maybe it was like a 3 or 4. Maybe I'm giving him a little bit too much credit. But I don't know what happened. He lost his mojo after he got injured in the whole the FA Carabao Cup thing, and missing out on that, and then coming back. He just hasn't been the same. Every time he steps onto the field, it's like he's not even there. It's like non-existent. It's like Curtis Jones does not exist on the pitch. Um, when he's playing these days. And I'm gonna be honest, I was one of those people that was a big believer in Curtis Jones. If you look back on the channel, I actually did a whole short about Curtis Jones and how much I rated him. And he's just kind of fallen off of a cliff. The news just broke today that he's not making the England team, didn't even get a cap, which tells me that maybe he didn't train well. He didn't train well while he was up there. The fact that he's not even getting a cap is like kind of crazy. And then I'm hearing Gerald Kwanzaa, of course, is on standby right now to probably get a cap, maybe not make it in the Euro squad, but if he impresses, you never know, right? But to at least get a cap, and that's what I think what Southgate is doing with him. But he can still turn it around. I'm not one of those guys that are like Curtis is a foregone conclusion. I don't think Curtis is a foregone conclusion, but we have to take a lot of things into consideration when we're talking about him, right? So the one guy that gave him a chance, the two guys actually that gave him a chance and backed him the most are gone, right? Jurgen Klopp and Steven Gerrard. Steven Gerrard was the guy that kept Klopp from dropping him. If you don't know this story, you should definitely look it up. It's actually kind of cool. Steven Gerrard used to coach the youth team, right? When Klopp was there for a little bit. I think it was like maybe for a season before he went and took other jobs and stuff like that. Curtis was one of the guys that Stevie just vouched for, and he just fought to the end to make sure Jurgen got him into that first team, and Jurgen trusted Stevie's judgment. And of course, the rest is history. Curtis ended up becoming a part of the first team, had a couple good runs, but Stevie had to kind of punch it into his head and was just like, "You got to take this to the next level. You got to start taking this seriously, because you're only going to get one shot at this, and you have all of the tools to be a top player." I see it. Stevie could see it, right, and it just did not. It wasn't panning out for him, and then he turned it around. So it seemed right at the beginning of this season, the end of last season, or at the beginning of now last season, and the end of the season before last, I should say, he was kind of coming to his own. And then Klopp was like, okay, I can trust this guy, and he got a good run of form, and here we are. It's kind of back to square one with Curtis, where a lot of people are saying he shouldn't even be in the first team. He's not at that level, and I'm starting to fear that it might be that case. And it's so unfortunate because he's one of those guys that he has everything. He has everything that he needs to succeed, but is the heart there? Is the mind all the way there to perform at the top level? It's not easy. I mean, it's hard getting into professional football. I played as well when I was in high school, and just getting a shot just to get into a professional team is one thing, right? and then actually becoming a starter is another thing, and then actually becoming a top player and a star is a whole nother thing. You kind of have to be obsessive, and I don't know if that's in Curtis's bones, right? So it's unfortunate for him. Number two, and then they just start getting more and more controversial, y'all. I'm sorry, they get more and more controversial. Stefan Bajcetic. Stefan Bajcetic, guys. I'm sorry, Stefan Bajcetic. It's not looking good for Stefan. And here's why. A lot of people are saying, What do you mean? Like he's, totally one for the future. He could be a world-class player. I don't doubt that in Stefan. The only thing that worries me the most about him is that he's proven to be a little injury prone over the past season. I know we can all have one season where it's kind of rough, but to be on and off and come back and then get a knock and then come back and then get a knock, it doesn't bode well for a young player's career. One, it can stunt some of their growth. Two, it stunts a lot of their professional growth, right? Where this last season should have probably been his breakout season, right? This last season should have been the breakout season for Stefan Bajcetic, and I think he misses that window. And I think Slot comes in and he's thinking, I need a new holding midfielder. And the proof is in all of these links, right? We have Steph in there. We have Endo there. I think personally we have enough depth there to where you don't really have to make a huge purchase there, because now we're going to play in a double pivot. It's not just going to be a single defensive midfielder in there. So the fact that it's going to be a double pivot, I feel like you don't need as much cover in that defensive holding midfielder role. And you would think, okay, this is the season I'm going to give Stefan the license. I'm going to give him the keys to the city. And then Endo will just deputize, right? That would be like the logical thing. But no, I'm seeing here we're getting linked with Bruno Guimaraes. We're getting linked with Douglas Luiz, and I just saw that Ederson is one of the that holding midfielder from Atalanta, just won a Europa League. Is heavily linked with us, and there's even reports coming out that we've already submitted a bid and we've agreed personal terms with him. So it doesn't look good for Stefan, and trust me, he's one of my favorite young players. But if there's any sign in this, where does he fit in this equation? Where does he fit in this equation for Slot? Because we have Endo there, who's proven we know can do a job. If we get Ederson and we bring him in, he's not going to sit on the bench for a teenager. We're not going to spend this money to have him be a backup to a backup, or a backup just to Stefan, or a backup to Endo, who should be a backup for Stefan, right? And then in that double pivot role, I'm going to assume, just based off of some of these performances I've been seeing from Trent, he's probably going to be in that double pivot role. Probably either the second person in there. He could play as a defensive midfielder, or he could, drop in and play a defensive midfielder playing alongside Mako, or he could drop in and deputize for Mako when Mako's out in that other pivot role, right? So there's only two of those true midfielding positions available for Arne Slot, and it's not looking good for young Stefan. And the words on the street is that Slot is ruthless, man. Slot is one of those players that's like, hey, if he feels like he can't use, or one of those coaches, from what his previous players and a lot of the coaches that he's worked with in the past have stated, that if you're not doing the job that he feels like he thinks you can do, he'll give you a chance. If you're not doing that job, though, he lets you go. It doesn't matter how big the name is, which I love, because Klopp is the exact opposite. He's loyal to his guys regardless of what they do. If they prove themselves one time, right? Or if he, just has that bond and that relationship that he's kind of grown with guys like Hendo and Firmino and Salah and Mane and all of his favorites, right? That he wanted to keep extending and extending until they turned 40. Slot's not like that. And I think that maybe factored into an account why he even got appointed. So I think these guys they're on fraud watch right now, bruh. To say the least, Bajcetic and Curtis are on fraud watch right now. They need to have a great preseason if they want to stay into this team, because I think if Slot tells Michael Edwards these guys are surplus, I think they're out the door. I think they're out the door. Ugh, and I hate to say it because I like these two players and they're young and they have a lot of potential. But at what point do you start saying, is potential enough? At what point do you start saying we need to see results? You look at guys like players like Kobe Mainu. You look at guys like Florian Wirtz. You look at young players like Jude Bellingham. You look at those young players that are in the same age range. I know, I get it, I get it, I get it, guys. These kids are young. They're at the beginning of their careers, but are they? Right? But are they? Right? You look at some of these kids that are what they're doing in world football right now. It's the same ages that Ronaldo and Messi were making a name for themselves. And no, these guys aren't going to be on the same level as Ronaldo and Messi. But if we want to have, we got to have players in that caliber on that world class superstar level if we want to compete and win everything. So we need youngsters like that that are at 18, 19, 20 years old, already kind of hitting those echelons where it's like this kid is special. I think we got to start being a little bit more ruthless when it comes to that. Because I think these kids like Curtis, they think they have all the time in the world. I'm young. I have plenty of time to develop and grow, and they don't take it serious. Because I think Curtis has all the tools to be one of the best players in the world. All of the tools. He's big, physicality. He could gain a little bit more weight. Great feet, great shot on him. Can get back and defend a complete midfielder. Very similar to Jude Bellingham in terms of skill set. But Jude just takes the game more seriously, I feel like. I don't know. Same thing with Stefan Bajcetic. I think Stefan Bajcetic is better than Kobe Mainu. So why is Kobe Mainu on England's team headed to the Euros and Stefan Bajcetic isn't on Spain's team heading to the Euros, who is actually pretty light right now with no Pedri and no Gavi? They could use some midfielders right now. It's an opportunity lost for Stefan. And I don't know, how the extent of his injuries and stuff like that. But I don't know. It's just something that Stefan's gonna have to kind of take to the next level. So the final guy, enough of the rambling, no more rambling. Um, this one's a big one. Luis Diaz. Boom, I said it. Luis Diaz. I don't see it, guys. I really don't see it with Luis Diaz. He's a good player. Trust me, he's a very good player. But at what point do you say he's just an older Jeremy Doku? At what point do you say he's just a 27, 28-year-old Jeremy Doku that should be hitting his prime, kind of, right? Depending on who you ask when a footballer's prime is. The mazy runs are great. The visual work ethic is great. I know it looks like he runs his ass off. He's one of those players that he knows how to make it look like he's doing a lot when he's really not. His numbers should be way higher. And then this is coming off of a player that we are using to replace one of our greatest left wingers ever, if not our greatest left winger ever, in Sadio Mane, who proved it, who ran just like does, and worked hard just like Luis does, and had just as many skills just as Luis did, but got crucial goals and scored 20 goals a season and got assists and made smart passes in the final third. That's what I'm looking for in a forward. Nothing crazy. I don't care. You can do a rainbow flick and put it between someone's legs and evade tackles just for you to make a bad decision at the end of the run and it just turns up being a corner or you run it out of play. I don't care. For me personally, that's not my style of play. I know some people, they love to see that. They're like, "Oh, this kid, this player is special." I don't think so. I'm hearing that Barcelona is in for him. Take him, dude. Take him. And his dad just keeps talking about a move to Spain over and over. I know Luis doesn't. And he's come out and said, that my father's thoughts are not my thoughts, but for me, he has to perform this season. And I don't see it happening because at this age, you should already have added goals to the game. You should have already added the next iteration of your game at 27, 28 years old, which I believe is how old Luis Diaz is now. You guys correct me if I'm wrong. You guys will anyway. But at this phase of his game, I think he should already have added goals. And if you don't add these things to your game before it's too late, I say before 27, 28, 29, if you don't add another phase to your game, that's just the player you're going to be for the rest of your career. Right? It's just how it's kind of is. So it's a controversial pick, but I think Luis Diaz he's set for a rough season. He's set for a rough season, and I think again, linking back to some of these uh these these links, right? These links to other players. Why Somerville is being linked heavily, and Chiesa is being linked heavily, and some of these other wingers that we're just like we're kind of stocked in attack now, right? If we're gonna factor in Gakpo, Soboslai, Harvey Elliott, Nunes, Salah, Diogo Jota is gonna be coming back into the mix. Why are we buying another winger? Maybe Slot doesn't see it either. I don't know. Maybe Edwards doesn't see it either, right? And he's kind of in that sweet spot zone that Edwards likes to sell veteran players at in that age bracket with they can get the most money out of it as well. I'm hearing 80 million from Barcelona. I don't know where they're going to get that money from, but if they pop up with it, I'll take it. I'll take it. And then lastly, we got an honorable mention, Ben Doak. Damn, dude. He is one of those players that I really, really liked and I thought would do some amazing things and eventually be the heir to Mo Salah. But this kid cannot stay fit for the life of him. He was way too impatient in joining that Euro squad. If I was him coming off the injury that he did, if I got that call up, I would have been super respectful and had to just politely turn it down and say, hey, I'm still ramping up my recovery. I don't even think I'm ready to come back and play football just yet. Like I'm feeling good. I'm running. I'm back in training. But at the intensity of the Euros, it's probably going to be. I think I'm gonna have to. I'm gonna take it day by day. I'll take it week by week. Is maybe what I would have said and asked for reduced minutes or something. I know it's tough to turn down your country, but I think the decision that he made to decide to join the Euros team at this intensity at an international football level might end up ruining his career, which is unfortunate. Another big injury for him, and he might be out for another stretch of time. Where he's another one of those players that's losing years and losing these important years where he could be proving himself and showing people that he's at that level. So that's all I got for you guys. Let me know if you guys agree. Comment down below. Who are the three players that you guys think are going to do absolutely nothing under Arne Slot? Am I wrong? Am I mad? Am I just, being salty about some of these players? I don't know. You tell me. But anyway, we'll see you next time. Appreciate you all. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Share this with your friends. Let's keep growing this community. We are on the way to 2,000 subs. You guys have a great day, and I will see you next time. Peace.